Hello. So this is a film that I saw the trailer for and wasn't quite sure what to make of it. And I've now seen the movie, and I'm still not sure what to make of it, to be completely honest with you. I remember sitting there watching it, and honestly, one of the first things that popped in my head about the midway point was, I don't know how I'm going to do a review of this, because I legitimately don't know what to talk about. So, in case you haven't heard of it, this is like a satire built up around the after effects of the death of Stalin in the 50s and what the Communist Party kind of did, what the other leaders kind of, did, and how they turned on each other and whatnot and what have you, in the days following his death. And a satire is the best way to put it. This isn't a comedy as it is a satire. So I guess the first thing I should say is, is it funny? Is the satire funny? And the answer is, yeah. I mean, there's some really funny lines in here. There's some really funny performances. I like that the whole thing kind of has the feel of a British sitcom, in that there's anachronisms and whatnot going on that nobody seems to acknowledge. Things like, it's Russia, clearly, and yet, all of the actors, or, most of the actors are British, and they're not trying to do Russian accents. They're speaking with their, with their natural accents. And that's part of the joke. Like at the funeral, Jason Isaacs comes in as the head of the Russian military, and he's speaking with his Cockney accent, and he's playing it off like he's just some kind of Cockney street thug, and that's supposed to be the joke. The whole thing feels like a little bit more historically accurate version of the Blackadder, and the parts where it's kind of going down that Blackadder route, it really works, and it's really funny. The problem is the tone is a bit inconsistent for me. It's funny, but then there are long stretches where nothing really funny happens, and, I don't know. I really don't freaking know about this one. Seriously, I'm trying to think of what all to talk about. The cast is great. You have some great stand-ins. In a way, watching this movie is like watching a reunion, because there's a lot of great actors in here that you don't see much, or you haven't seen much of lately. Steve Buscemi, who, big darling of the indie films back in the 90s, hasn't done a whole lot lately, and he's back here and reminding us just, how good he really is. Jeffrey Tambor, very reliable character actor, been around for years, is back and doing a fantastic job as I don't know any of these people's real names or anything, so pardon me. As the guy who kind of succeeded Lenin. I love Jason Isaacs, though. I wish he really kept the the Lucius Malfoy wig, because when he doesn't, I always confuse him for Timothy Dalton every single time. Like, when I first saw the trailer, I was like, oh, yay, Timothy Dalton's here. I love Timothy Dalton. And it's like, Jason Isaacs. I'm like, oh, well, I like Jason Isaacs, too. I just, that confuses me. I guess the main point of this film, just kind of, if you're looking at, a satire is there to, a basic comedy is there just to make you laugh. A satire is meant to kind of make you laugh and think about, the absurdity of it. And I guess in that respect, it does a great job just pointing out some of the absurdities of a system of government like this. For instance, there's like one of the best parts of it is right when Stalin gets sick, right at the very beginning. The party is all gathering, and they're going, well, Well, should we get a doctor? Well, we've rounded up and killed all the doctors. They were all terrible traitors and this, that, and the other thing. But we need a doctor. Well, all the good doctors are gone. We'll find a bad doctor. Well, we can't get a bad doctor to, look at Stalin. Well, but if he cures him, then he was a good doctor. If he doesn't, he's a bad doctor, and Stalin's not going to know. So it's just, it's kind of, very poignant kind of joke about, you scapegoat and, lock up all these people and do all these terrible things, and then the day comes you're going to need them, and then you're like, you're left holding the bag going, oh, okay, now what? And there's a lot of stuff like that. There's a lot of, the satire runs, through like just how many people they killed, Stalin and his ilk, and just, we don't like you, and and you're watching the film, they're killing people left and right, and they're, and you're like, man, how can a government, how can any, government function on this? Because eventually there's going to be no people left, and it also goes into that, that wonderful, the people who are doing the scapegoating, will eventually become the scapegoat. Someone's always going to turn on you, and I like how the whole thing kind of has a more comical, almost like a Game of Thrones point to the whole thing of, so this guy was in charge, but then this guy plotted and he ended up in charge and he ruled the party until this guy killed him. It's this whole kind of thing. So I think there's some clever stuff in this movie, but now ask me if I liked it, and then ask me, am I going to remember anything about it in 10 weeks or whatever? When I had to buy a new hard drive that I store all these reviews on, because the other one, something went wrong with it. It was, that's not important to the story. But anyway, I had to buy a new hard drive, so I was transferring all of the information from the old hard drive over to the new one, and it's, saying we're transferring this film review now, and I'm looking at some of these titles going, what the hell is that? And I had to go and look at the first couple minutes of the video to go, oh, that was that one. And I have a feeling that's kind of what this one's going to be. This one's a little too weird to be completely gone from your memory after you see it. There's a definite, oddity, and I think black comedy is a definite term for this. But while it's weird enough to stand out, ironically, at the same time, nothing about this movie really stands out. There's no great set piece. There's no real star turn. The comedy is either too subtle or really overblown, and they never really go with one or the other. It's just very confusing, and a lot of times they go to this, maybe the whole thing would be better if I studied history a little bit more, if I knew more than just kind of the basics of the USSR, Stalin, World War II, Lenin, Gorbachev, Rocky IV, the big history points. Maybe I would get it more, because a lot of times, I couldn't figure out what, who was doing what or why or whatever, and I was hoping that for a satire, like I said, I wish it would have stuck a little bit more with the Blackadder formula, where things were drawn in a little bit broader terms, so you could follow some of it. And maybe that's just me. I don't know. I can't, as has kind of become the measuring stick for this year. This movie didn't have Jennifer Lawrence being brutally raped, beaten, or peeling someone's skin off. So in that aspect, it was a good movie. But I can't really, I can't think of anything to say. I can't. It's a 10-minute video. 20 seconds of it's gonna get cut off at the beginning. I got nothing. This movie left no solid impression on me. which is funny, because again, I remember laughing at parts of it. I remember thinking things were good. But now that I barely saw it, like, seriously, 10 minutes ago from when I'm recording this. And I can't think of anything worth discussing, anything to, get anybody else to go see this. Like, legitimately, I'm at a loss. I guess the best I can say is if you're a history buff, so that's one. If you're maybe if you're a little bit more familiar with the history, some of the humor and whatnot, and the darker satire is going to make sense to you. So maybe that. And B, if you just like kind of weird, out there, on the edge kind of movies, this one is kind of on that edge. It doesn't really fit into a category, but at the same time, it doesn't fit into a category. It doesn't even do that, commit to that all the way. So, yeah, got nothing. So, I guess there's nothing left to say except final grade for The Death of Stalin. I gotta go with a C-. And again, nothing bad necessarily in it. It's just, and there was some good stuff, but it leaves absolutely no impression. When the biggest impression the film makes is just how little of an impression it made on you, that is not good. So, that's all I've got to say about this one, unfortunately. I wish there was more, I did 20-some minutes on Midnight Sun. I can't think of anything to fill out this video. So that's it. That's it for this one. So, 2018 continues to slug along at the movies, and I continue to slug along with it. So, until next time, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.